I think we all, have this kind of, well, let's call it a complicated relationship with caffeine. We love that morning kick, that focus it gives us. But then there's the payback, right? That midday slump, or sometimes those awful jitters where you feel sort of wired and uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's that classic problem. You want the mental edge, the performance, but you're trying to find that balance, sustained energy without the anxiety spike or that feeling like you've just hit a wall later on.
Exactly. And that's why this deep dive feels so relevant. You brought in some fascinating sources looking at a really simple combo, just brewed coffee and pure cocoa. So our mission today is to dig into the synergy. What happens when these two, well, powerhouses meet? And why might this actually be better for your mind and body than just plain coffee?
That's spot on. The research confirms, and it's pretty clear, that on their own, both coffee and cocoa are like nutritional stars. They're packed with antioxidants, they support heart health, brain function, all good stuff. But like you said, the real magic, that balanced energy we're all chasing, seems to happen when their specific compounds interact. It's quite interesting.
Okay, let's get into it then. Starting with, well, the king, coffee. We all know it wakes us up. But what are the sources telling us about the actual biological stuff happening beyond just energy?
Right. So what's really cool is how caffeine works. It's not just like pouring fuel in the tank. It's more defensive, actually. Caffeine literally gets in the way. It blocks these specific docking sites in your brain called adenosine receptors.
Huh. So it's not adding go juice. It's more like hitting the brakes on the tired signal.
You nailed it. Adenosine is the chemical messenger that tells your brain, hey, time to slow down, feel tired. By blocking its receptors, caffeine basically keeps you feeling alert and focused when you might otherwise start to fade. It's a clever trick, chemically speaking.
That makes total sense for the alertness part. But you mentioned other benefits. The sources dug into coffee's protective side too, didn't they? What else is in there besides the caffeine?
Oh, definitely. We have to talk about antioxidants. Coffee is loaded with polyphenols. Those are plant compounds that fight cell damage. The sources specifically call out chlorogenic acid. It's a major player. This acid is really important for protecting your cells against damage from free radicals, those unstable molecules linked to aging and disease.
I mostly just thought of coffee as, a stimulant, not really a shield for my cells.
Right.
What kind of specific health protections did the research point to?
It's actually a pretty impressive list. For heart health, moderate regular coffee drinking is linked in studies to a lower risk of things like stroke and heart failure. And maybe even more compelling, especially long-term, are the neuroprotective effects. Coffee consumption is associated with a lower risk of developing neurodegenerative diseases, specifically Parkinson's and Alzheimer's.
Wow, okay. And I remember seeing something about the liver, which seems kind of random for coffee.
Yeah, you're right. That often flies under the radar. But the sources show that both regular and, get this, even decaf coffee are linked to better liver health, lower rates of chronic liver disease, even liver cancer. So, yeah, coffee's doing a lot more than just waking us up. It's got systemic benefits.
Okay, so coffee brings the sharp focus, the alertness, and this broad kind of protective shield. Now let's bring in its partner, cocoa. What's its unique contribution? Why is it such a good match?
Well, if coffee gives you that immediate, sharp, stop being tired signal, cocoa works differently. It's more about mood, flow, and a gentler kind of energy. The really big deal in cocoa is its flavonoids.
Flavonoids. Right, those are also antioxidants, another type of polyphenol,
Yeah,
so everyone's clear.
same family, but cocoa's flavonoids are sort of specialized. They have a really direct positive effect on your circulatory system. They actually help your blood vessels relax and widen, dilate, which means better blood flow everywhere.
Better blood flow sounds great. Good for circulation. Maybe helps with blood pressure, I guess. But hang on, cocoa. Isn't it fatty? Usually we hear fat isn't great for heart health. Did the sources explain that?
That's a really important question, and yes, they address it. The key is the type of cocoa. We're talking pure cocoa powder or very high percentage dark chocolate. In that form, the massive benefit from the flavonoids, improving how well the lining of your blood vessels works, that endothelial function that seems to strongly outweigh the fat content. But, and this is crucial, that's assuming you're not loading it up with sugar.
Gotcha. Purity matters.
Yeah.
Okay, now the fun part, the mood boost. Cocoa is famous for that feel-good effect. What chemicals are doing that?
Right, that nice feeling comes largely from two main things. First, there's theobromine. It's related to caffeine structurally, but it's much milder, gives you a gentler, less edgy lift. And second, the more famous one, cocoa has phenethylamine, or PEA.
Ah, PEA. Isn't that sometimes called the love drug or the bliss molecule, something like that?
That's the one. It's fascinating stuff. PEA seems to encourage your brain to release those neurotransmitters linked with pleasure and reward. We're talking endorphins, dopamine, serotonin. So, adding cocoa isn't just about flavor. You're literally adding compounds that can give you a natural mood lift.
So you get this little internal reward signal just by mixing it in your drink. That's
Yeah.
pretty compelling.
And it doesn't stop there. Cognitively, those flavonoids boosting blood flow, they do that in the brain too. Direct increase in cerebral blood flow, more oxygen, more nutrients up there. Research links that to better memory, better focus over time. Plus, cocoa throws in some useful minerals like magnesium, vital for nerves and muscles, and more anti-inflammatory backup from its polyphenols.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The synergy. Coffee meets cocoa. How do these benefits actually combine? Is it just adding them up, or is something more happening?
It really seems to be more. The sources point towards genuine synergy, where the combined effect is greater than just the sum of the parts. Think of it like this. Maybe coffee is like flooring the accelerator, instant power, right? But cocoa acts like a kind of energy regulator. It smooths out the power delivery, makes it last longer, prevents the system from overheating and
I
crashing.
like that analogy. So the cocoa helps manage the coffee's intensity, makes it more sustainable.
Precisely. Coffee gives you that fast caffeine hit. But theobromine from the cocoa provides a much gentler, slower burning energy source. When you layer them, you kind of flatten the curve. You get the alertness, but it's smoother, lasts longer, and you're much less likely to get that horrible crash a few hours later.
And what about the jitters? That slightly anxious, shaky feeling some people get.
That seems to be significantly reduced too. It's likely a couple of things working together. First, theobromine itself is just a milder stimulant than caffeine, so the overall peak intensity is lower. Second, remember that magnesium in cocoa. The sources suggest that the combo of the gentler stimulant plus the magnesium, which supports the nervous system, helps directly counteract those caffeine-induced jitters and anxiety.
Wow, so you could get the focus without feeling like you're bouncing off the walls. That sounds like a huge quality of life improvement for some people.
It really could be. And don't forget the antioxidants we talked about. Since both coffee and cocoa are absolutely packed with different kinds of polyphenols and flavonoids, putting them together gives you this incredibly broad spectrum of antioxidant protection. It's like having multiple layers of defense against cellular stress, better overall protection.
And logically, if both are helping blood flow to the brain, coffee through general stimulation, cocoa through those flavonoids, does that mean the focus and concentration effects get boosted too?
It certainly looks that way. You've got complementary stimulants working together, plus compounds enhancing blood delivery and mood boosters. The result should be, theoretically, enhanced focus, better concentration, maybe even improved memory recall that lasts longer and feels cleaner than just coffee alone. It's like premium brain fuel.
Okay, this all sounds fantastic. Let's get practical. For someone listening now who wants to try this, how do they actually do it right
Yeah.
to get these benefits the sources describe?
Right. Application is key. And the number one rule is prioritize purity. For the real health benefits, the sources are very clear. You need to use unsweetened natural cocoa powder, not hot chocolate mix. Or if you prefer chocolate, make it high quality dark chocolate, like 70% cocoa content or even higher.
Purity. Got it. Keep those compounds intact. But why is avoiding added sugar so critical? Can't you just add a little bit for taste?
Well, you could, but you'd likely be shooting yourself in the foot benefit-wise. Here's why, put simply. Sugar causes an insulin spike. That rapid rise and fall of blood sugar and insulin directly works against the smooth, sustained energy release you're trying to get from the theobromine. You basically add back the metabolic roller coaster, the volatility that we're trying to avoid. You risk bringing back the crash.
Ah, okay. So the sugar kind of sabotages the whole point of adding the cocoa for stability.
Exactly. It neutralizes that smoothing effect. So the simplest, most effective way, based on the recommendations, just add a teaspoon, maybe two, of pure, unsweetened cocoa powder right into your daily cup of brewed coffee. Stir it in well.
It's that simple, just upgrading your regular coffee into something, well, way more functional. Suddenly that morning cup isn't just about waking up. It's about potentially better memory, stronger antioxidant defenses, maybe a little mood lift from that PEA and serotonin, and all driven by a smoother, longer-lasting energy. That sounds pretty good.
It really does. And if you think about the bigger picture here, we've just talked about two incredibly common things, coffee and cocoa. Cheap, accessible. And combining them seems to unlock this significant health synergy, better focus, better mood, better heart health support. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many other simple, everyday food pairings might be out there. Things we already eat, but maybe not together, that could offer surprising health benefits, simple upgrades hiding in plain sight in our kitchens. Something to think about, perhaps, as you're maybe trying out that new, improved morning brew.